Hi friends, my name is Michael and I am a Reiki Master Teacher and the President of the Universal Reiki Center. In our discussion today, I'd like to continue a discussion we had previously, and that was the topic, what is Reiki? And for the answer in our previous segment, we delved into an inscription from a memorial that was written on behalf of Usui Sensei after he passed in 1926. Today I wanted to delve a little bit further into that memorial and see if we can't find an ever-deepening definition and practice of Reiki. Reiki in its most simple form can be defined as energy. A little bit deeper investigation into the Reiki kanji will tell us that Reiki is defined as spiritually guided life force energy. And while that definition is clear and concise and very pure, I believe that Usui's life and what he believed will provide us an even greater depth to that understanding of spiritually guided life force energy. So, without further ado, let's go into Usui Sensei's memorial inscription just a little bit further. The first section we're going to read together is the third paragraph in his inscription. And by the way, you can find this inscription in its entirety on our website at gotreiki.net. And the first paragraph we're going to read goes like this. Someone who studies hard and works assiduously to improve body and mind for the sake of becoming a better person is called a man of great spirit. People who use that great spirit for a social purpose, that is, to teach the right way to many people and to do collective good, are called teachers. So, let's break this down just a little bit. Someone who studies hard. Nothing that is worth value comes to us very easily. That has been a statement that has been made for millennia. That anything that's truly worthy of obtaining comes to us rather assiduously. So a person who studies hard, they are intent on acquiring the essentials of whatever it is the subject that they're studying. And in our case here, we're talking about Reiki. So studying hard and works assiduously. Now, assiduously can be defined as unremitting or constant application of effort or diligent or attentive. So someone who works with full diligence and attentiveness to improve their body and their mind for the sake of becoming a better person. Okay, let's stop there for just a minute. A person who works really hard, they study and apply with diligence and attentiveness to improving their body and their mind for the sake of becoming a better person. Now, this has nothing to do with, and this says nothing about gaining some cognitive knowledge to go out and share with others. This is talking about a personal endeavor and experience. This person is working hard and studying hard to improve their body and mind for the sake of becoming a better person. That person is called a person of great spirit. Now, people who use that, in other words, they've had that experience for themselves. They have diligently applied themselves to becoming a better person, so that they have that to share with others. Have what? They have the experience of being a better person, so they have themselves to share with others. And those people that do that, they have the experience and then they take that experience and they share it with others, are called teachers. So, people who use that great spirit for a social purpose, to teach the right way to many people and do collective good, you have to first have the experience, and that's one of the things that we discussed in our previous segment. Let me read that for you here, just to refresh you. The paragraph we're talking about is after the five principles of the Meiji Emperor. The ultimate goal to understand the ancient secret method for gaining happiness and discover an all-purpose cure for many ailments. If these principles are followed, if these principles are followed, you will achieve the great tranquil mind of the ancient sages. But to begin spreading the Reiki system, it's important first to start from a place close to you, which is yourself. Don't start from something distant like philosophy or logic. Don't just acquire information and share that information with others. There's no life in that. It's just words. He goes on to say, sit still in silence every morning and every evening with your hands folded in the Gasho or Namaste position. Follow the great principles and be clean and quiet. Work on your heart. This is an individual matter. It's very personal. It requires great study. It requires great intensity and diligence and perseverance to have this experience of happiness, of joy and tranquility and calmness and peace. Have that experience for yourself. Then you're ready to share that with others. He says, work on your heart and do this from the quiet space within you. I think you get the point. So going back to the first paragraph that we were reading here, studying hard, working assiduously, and with the chief aim to be becoming a better person. Once we have attained that sense of satisfaction, that sense of peace, that sense of joy, then we can share that with others. Let's go just a little bit further down into his inscription to the 5th paragraph. One day, he went to Mount Karuma on a 21-day retreat to fast and meditate. In other words, he was separating himself from the daily activities of life, including food, to be quiet and to meditate, to contemplate and to discipline himself beyond the physical. There is a life that exists beyond this physical realm, and I think that's where he's going with all this. Okay? So he had a desire to go on a 21-day retreat to fast and to meditate. At the end of this period, he suddenly felt the great Reiki energy at the top of his head. Now, he felt at the end of this period of discipline and assiduous practice, he felt or had the experience of Reiki. That's kind of what we described in the previous paragraph. First have the experience, and then Reiki comes naturally. Okay, so he fasted and meditated, and then he felt this Reiki on the top of his head, which led to the Reiki healing system. So what he's saying here is that when he felt the Reiki energy at the top of his head, that led him to the Reiki healing system. That wasn't the Reiki healing system in and of itself. That was an experience. An experience that he had after disciplining himself in assiduous practice. And it doesn't give us a time frame here of how long he was disciplined prior to going on this 21-day retreat. But we do know at least he practiced for some time, or he studied for some time, and prepared himself, cultivated and nurtured in an environment where he was able to receive. He wasn't seeking Reiki. Reiki found him because he was prepared. He cultivated and nurtured an internal environment that was susceptible to perceive and receive Reiki. Again, he wasn't looking for Reiki. He was looking for happiness and peace and contentment. And at the end of this 21-day retreat, and however long he was preparing himself prior to that, he had a Reiki experience. And that experience, plus all of his study and discipline, led him to, or prompted, the Reiki healing system. So this experience wasn't the end-all. He didn't just receive a protocol on Reiki and, okay, this is what it is. Instead, he had an experience. And that experience gave him the impetus to share it with others. Notice what it says next. First, he used the Reiki on himself. So, he was preparing himself through study and discipline and diligence. Then he had a Reiki experience because he was prepared. He cultivated that internal environment that was susceptible to perceive and to receive Reiki. And once he received Reiki, then he used that on himself. So he was cultivating himself, and then he experienced Reiki, and now he's cultivating Reiki within himself. Then after that, and it doesn't tell us how long he practiced on himself, only that he did. After practicing on himself, then he tried it on his family. So he shared it with his family only after he had practiced this on himself. It always starts with the self first. There's an ancient text which indicates, love your neighbor as yourself. You know what that implies to me? Is that you cannot love your neighbor until you love yourself. Or, further than that, to the extent in which you love yourself, can you love another? So what that's saying to me is that you can't give what you don't possess. If you don't love yourself, you cannot give love to someone else. If you don't have the experience of peace, if you don't have the experience of joy, if you don't have that within you, you can't share it. And if you're sharing something and calling it one of those things, but yet you don't possess it within yourself, it's a lie. It's not true. It's a show. Okay? So this is fundamental to Usui. And through my experience, not only of Reiki, but meditation and other assiduous practices, I have come to find this for myself. And so when I saw this in Usui's inscription, I'm like, oh, that's what I believe. That's what I have experienced. That's what I know. So now when I share Reiki, I'm sharing myself. I'm sharing an experience that I had personally, that I cultivated within myself. So I have that to give to someone else. Now it says that he first tried it on himself, then he tried it on his family. And since it worked well for both of those situations, for various ailments, he decided to share this knowledge with the public at large. So he didn't go out sharing this experience that he had until he actually had the experience. He didn't go and collect knowledge. It didn't say that he just stopped with his studying hard. It wasn't about collecting information. He was studying hard, cultivating and nurturing an environment, an internal environment that was susceptible. So that when he did finally have the experience, it was rooted deep. The soil was toiled and prepared so that when the seed was planted, it took root. Once it took root, he had the fruit to share with others. So he decided to share this with this information with the public at large after having the experience and sharing it with those that were close to him. He not only gave treatments to countless patients, some of whom had come from far and wide, but he also hosted workshops to spread this knowledge even further. Now, one of the misperceptions I think that people have in seeking, whether it's yoga and Tai Chi or Qigong or pranic healing or Reiki or anything else, or the thousands upon thousands of self-help programs to find happiness or peace or contentment. We tend to believe that it's a one-time singular event. Once you attain enlightenment, once you find peace or joy or satisfaction, once you've had the experience, that life is just a bed of roses. And that's not true. This is a moment-by-moment experience. We have to choose this in each breath. It becomes easier as we practice and apply true diligence and have the experience over and over again. But it doesn't mean that life is a bed of roses, and it even says here in Usui's inscription, it says that at one point he did run into some bad luck. However, he did not give up, and he trained himself arduously. Okay, now arduously is different than assiduously. Arduously means that it's marked by great labor or effort. So even though he had these wonderful experiences and had this great experience to share, life is still very challenging. We live in an imperfect world with imperfect people. And so life can be rather challenging. All of our problems don't just dissipate because we've had this experience and now we're just enlightened. That'd be great if that's the case. I'm here to tell you in personal experience that life can be very, very challenging. But you know what? We pursue this with true diligence, and therefore we are overcomers. Usui was just like that as well. He did not give up. He trained himself through hard labor to press on and to continue to seek. And so I guarantee you that he had not just one experience, but it became a lifelong experience. One of the goals that I share with people in classes and with individual sessions is once you have the experience, whatever that experience is, good or bad or otherwise, once you've had that experience, you can recreate it at any time. And in fact, we recreate bad experiences all the time. but we can just as easily replicate the good experiences that we have. And I'm here to tell you from first-hand knowledge and experience, once you've had an experience, and I'm going to reference these euphoric or enlightening moment experiences, you can have this experience at any time. And it doesn't even have to be in a secluded wood or in a quiet space. You can have the same experience once you've practiced and trained yourself enough in the middle of New York City, sitting on a street corner. Now, that experience may not happen overnight, but you can have this peaceful or this satisfactory experience or this enlightening moment. You can have that experience anytime once you've had it once. If you've ever tried to meditate and you've tried and tried and tried, and all of a sudden you were able to meditate even for 5 minutes, boy, doesn't that give you a breath of fresh air, and finally you can connect and say, aha! I did it. I had the experience. And if I had the experience again, I should be able to do it again. I finally had this experience for myself. In our previous segment, we talked about tasting cheesecake. I'm not going to go back into that, but I'll just refer you to our previous segment. It's a very good analogy about tasting cheesecake. So let's go further into Reiki and what Yasui believed Reiki was. We talked at length about preparing and nurturing the soil of our internal environment so that when the seed is planted that we produce fruit. And to me it's kind of described as we travel through this adventure called life, we have many experiences. Many experiences. And each of these experiences is an opportunity for introspection and awareness. And this introspection and awareness, if we have that experience, is in turn an opportunity for greater perception. Our perception increases. We're able to see and experience more because we've had an experience in itself. And as we grow our ever-increasing awareness, we have a greater understanding of Reiki and of life in general. And thus, a deeper meaning and perception of life in itself. So each experience leads us to another. And when we have an experience, we can truly have that again, but yet at the same time, we've opened our awareness and perception so that we're able to receive more. And so with each experience of introspection and awareness, we increase our sphere of understanding and ability to receive and perceive greater still. Going further into Yasui's memorial, his lifelong habit of studying and gathering information certainly helped pave the way to perceiving and understanding Reiki. Now, we've talked about this ad nauseum already. I just want to show you that the things that I believe within myself are exactly what we're seeing here with Yasui Sensei. His lifelong habit of studying and gathering information helped pave the way to allow him to perceive and understand Reiki when he had that experience. Reiki not only heals, but amplifies innate abilities, balances the spirit, makes the body healthy, and helps to achieve happiness. Now, I will tell you, Reiki is not this perfect physical healing gift. in my limited understanding. To me, Reiki is the power of life itself. Reiki is energy. It's divinely guided life force energy. It is that which gives us impetus for life. And so Reiki is synonymous in many ways with life itself. And life is not about the gathering of consumable goods and services. Life is about living. There is no life in these material things. They're here today and gone tomorrow. The things that were present on the earth 100 years ago, they're long gone. In fact, the people that were physically here 100 years ago are long gone. There is no life in acquiring consumable goods and services. The life is in the living. It's in the having the experience and then sharing that with others. So I don't believe that Usui is saying that Reiki is this great tool for physical healing. In fact, the majority of healing comes from within. And so we find, and we'll see that in the next paragraph that we discussed last segment as well, physical healing is a result, many times, of internal healing. And in fact, even if you had a physical healing, if you don't have an equal or greater internal healing, the physical symptom will reappear. So I believe that what he's saying here is that while Reiki can heal, and I have been witness to a number of remarkable miracle physical healings after 1 session, 2 sessions, 4 sessions, 10 sessions. I've seen them. I've experienced them for myself. But the physical aspect to life is not what I'm concerned with. And I think not Usui or Reiki itself. It's about the internal environment, finding contentment, happiness, love, joy, peace, satisfaction in life itself, and in living each moment to the full, because this moment might be our last. So it not only heals, which it does have the ability, but it amplifies innate abilities. It balances the spirit and makes the body healthy, thus helps to achieve happiness. He goes on to say, to teach this to others, you should follow the 5 principles of the Meiji Emperor and contemplate them in your heart. There it is again. It continues to go back to first take it within yourself, and not just ingest cognitive knowledge. Take it deep within your heart. Nurture and cultivate that internal environment so that it's receptive to perceive and to receive that which may come to you. Following the 5 principles. I'm not going to go into what the 5 principles mean. I'm just going to state them here. We'll save that for another segment. Follow the 5 principles of the Meiji Emperor. The first one is don't be angry today. The second, don't worry today. The third, be grateful today. The fourth, work hard in meditative practice today. And 5, be kind to others today. Now, he says you should follow the 5 principles of the Meiji Emperor and contemplate them in your heart. Now, we discussed briefly just a few minutes ago about what we talked about in our last segment, and that was the following. The ultimate goal is to understand the secret method for gaining happiness. Okay? He's talking about Reiki, and the ultimate goal is to understand the ancient, very, very old, ancient secret method for gaining happiness. and subsequently discover an all-purpose cure for many ailments. Many ailments can be healed, instantaneous or otherwise, by becoming content, by healing our internal environment. Changes everything. But even if it doesn't, once you're content, you're happy, you're at peace, you're in joy and love, the physical doesn't mean so much. It doesn't matter so much. Because you understand that this aspect of life, the material aspect, is temporary at best. Could be gone tomorrow. But the spiritual aspect of ourselves may very well continue past this physical experience. So the goal with Reiki is not the external, it's not the material, it's not healing the physical body. It's preparing the internal environment for receiving and perceiving joy and satisfaction and love, contentment. And healing may, in fact, follow, and many times does. If these principles are followed, you will achieve the great, tranquil mind of the ancient sages. If you practice these things with all diligence, you will accomplish, you will have the experience of the ancient sages, which is a great, tranquil mind. Sit still in silence every morning and every evening with your hands folded in the Gassho or Namaste position. There's a picture of this also on our website that you can look at. It's all a matter of a condition of the heart. Even this Namaste or Gassho position. It's a matter of the heart. Follow the great principles with all diligence and be clean and quiet. Work on your heart, your internal environment, your center. Do this from a quiet space within yourself. And then it concludes this section with, anyone can access Reiki because it begins with yourself. And then the last thing it says, I just want to brief through this. Philosophical paradigms are changing the world. Okay? Even back then, things were becoming more and more materialistic, and the philosophical paradigms were changing. And so he goes on to say, if Reiki can be spread throughout the world, it will touch the human heart and the morals of society. I believe that what he's saying is, as the world continued to move, progress towards materialism and materialistic lifestyle, the human heart became more callous, and our morals began to decay. And so he's saying, if Reiki can spread throughout the world, it will touch the human heart and the morals of society. It'll soften us again. It'll make us supple and more susceptible to perceive and receive the Reiki. It will be helpful for many people, not only healing disease, but the earth as a whole. Not just disease. While that might be great and important, the condition of the human heart and subsequent morals that stem from that, and the earth as a whole. We have destroyed our earth. We have, in our pursuit of materialism and consumable goods, we have seriously impacted our earth. And by nurturing our internal environment, we not only may possibly heal our body, but we can also heal the earth by becoming more heart-centered and supple and susceptible to love and joy and peace and satisfaction and contentment. When those things are experiences that we have regularly, we're less apt to not only harm ourselves but harm someone else or the earth. It can bring peace and unity and harmony and brotherly love. First within ourselves, then our families, and then the world at large. To me, and potentially to Yusui Sensei according to his inscription, that, my friends, is Reiki. Thank you for listening, and namaste. We'll see you next time.